Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's Noble Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Brew Gentleman Brewing Company out of Braddock, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. This beer is Kanso. See right there, it says American IPA, 6.2 ABV. So this is part of their fall seasonal series. They do double IPA, single IPA, and a wild card. This is the single IPA entry, and this has Eldorado, Citra, and Chinook. And I have had this before, but it's been at least a year since last fall. But I honestly don't even remember if I had it last fall. It might even been longer than that, so I really don't remember. And this is one of the newer ones that they came up with. This wasn't originally in their fall lineup, or maybe it was before they even had that distinction of those specific double IPA, single wildcard type thing. So I think I've only had this once or twice. But anyways, even if I have, it's been a while. So I'm excited to give it a proper review. So I'm gonna crack it open and see what we got. Just like all of their beers, not much of a hiss when you open the growler. It's filled almost completely to the top, but I'm sure it's going to pour perfectly because that's what they all do. You start pouring them and you're like, oh, it's not going to have much head, and then as long as you actually pour it accurately, like that, you end up with a perfect pour. Because that's just what they do. I know it sounds like a homer thing to say, but when every single one of their growlers is literally perfectly carbonated, they have something to brag about, because I don't know that many other brewers can say that about that. But anyways, so this is a little lighter than I did the Kabuto a little earlier. This is a little lighter than that. It's still a golden color, but not quite as dark. Really nice, fluffy white head that's not going anywhere at all. It's pretty much perfect carbonation. About a finger's and a half worth of head. So, the first thing that came into my head when I smelled this was like pear juice. I heard a lot of people say that this batch was like very melon forward, but I'm not really getting that. But I do get a lot of pear juice. A little bit of orange rind, and maybe even like kiwi. I'm not sure. It is absolutely insane how balanced their hoppy beers are. I do get a lot of that pear in the flavor too. And I think I get like kiwi too. It's like pear and kiwi. There's a little bit of that orange pith, but it's not like really bitter. It's just that the flavor of orange pith. It's a little doughy, almost like pilsnery doughy, which is weird. So a lot of their IPAs are usually more on like the bready side, but this one's like doughy. There's something that almost reminds me of like I know I said pear juice, but there's also something that reminds me of like prickly pear cactus. Eldorado is one of those hops that I really don't know a lot about it. I definitely have had it in many IPAs. but I don't know that like I've been able to pull it out of a lot of specific IPAs. I excuse me. I have had single hopped Eldorado beers, but they're usually by brewers that aren't necessarily the best IPA brewers, so it's kind of hard to really get a good feel of the really nice fresh essence of the hop if the beer isn't made like to a top-notch quality. Uh, but the fact that I'm guessing Chinook is probably just like the bittering hop in this. I know a lot of New England IPAs don't even have bittering hops. Uh, I'm assuming Brew Gentlemen's do just a little bit because they do have compared to most New England IPAs, they do have a substantial bitterness. It's always completely perfectly balanced by the malt base, but it's there. It's detectable. It's not like straight fruit juice. It's not overly sweet. There's almost like this little bit like of a lemon limey thing going on too. I all of their hops are so different. They're just like I had the Kabuto earlier today, and that was just way different than this is. And I'm sure the next one I have will be even different than that. I don't have any other ones to do. I only got my buddy grabbed me 3 growlers. I'm sure he would have grabbed me more because he's that generous. But I didn't want to put them out, and I only had 3 empty ones anyways. So I got this, the Kabuto, and the Mexican coffee, and I think I made good decisions on all of them. But back to this beer, like it's 6.2%, which for an IPA is pretty low. I mean, that's almost pushing like pale ale category. I mean, I would consider pale ale as anywhere between anywhere between 4.5 and 6, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess not even pale ale, maybe session IPA. I don't know. I guess session IPA is 4 to 6, IPA 6 to 8, double is 8 to 10, and then anything over 10 is triple, and I'm not going in quadruple. But yeah, I mean, this is almost pushing like session IPA territory. It's very, very light. It's not light in flavor, but the body is just super crushable. It's not light in flavor, and it's not watery either by any means. I think it's just because it's so dialed in and balanced that it just. I said this about the Caputo too. Like, regardless of the hop profile, which I do really like this one, but whether you like the hop profile or not, it finishes so restrained and so dry that there's nothing off-putting that you want to like push it off to the side for a minute and let it sit and come back to it. And it finishes so dry that it dries out your mouth too. And the only thing you want to do is go back and have another sip because it tastes good and it wets your palate. And that's what's so good about their IPAs. They're just all, super crushable, balanced, and they just make you want to keep drinking them. And from a brewer, what more would you want than that? They continue to blow me away by what they make. They are hands down, for me, I understand everyone has their own taste, but for me, they're hands down the best IPA brewers on the planet. And it's really not even close. I've had individual beers from other breweries that I thought were as good or at least close to as good as some of their IPAs, but it's never been on like a consistent basis. Theirs are just always 99 to 100 on every one of them. Just it's not always my favorite hop profile, but you can't like that. That is 100% personal preference. It's all the other things that you can actually judge like the balance, the bitterness, the sweetness. Which I understand even people that like different levels of those things too. But to me, those are at least more, you know, objective, where you could say, well, this is off for the style or whatever. And I think they're really hitting all of those marks perfectly, and it really just comes down to the hop profile on each one of them. So that, and to me, that's obviously the thing that's most reliant on personal preference. I think this was $9 for $9 or $10 for a fill up. That's usually what their double or what their IPAs are. And I would absolutely buy this again. I will buy this again if they haven't when I go up there for Thanksgiving, because it's awesome. I like this better than Kabuto. I think they were both really good, but I'm always the biggest fan of their lower alcohol things. Just because they're like more drinkable. Not because the double IPAs are less quality, but I just prefer them. They're all really balanced, but the double IPAs just have that extra alcohol kick, and I would rather just have not have that alcohol kick and not have that in the taste and just feeling the alcohol in general. So I would rather drink this. But either way, all this stuff they make is great, so seek them out for sure. But that's all I got on this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.